Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have Carlos Alcaraz versus Alejandro Davidovich Fokina in the semi-finals of the Monte Carlo Masters. We're going to be breaking it down strategically, talking about how they've looked so far during the tournament, and then ultimately I'll give you guys my prediction. Before we get into it though, remember that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Also, shout out to our members as well. We really appreciate your support. And click that notification bell if you haven't done so already. And if you have on the channel, make sure notifications is enabled on YouTube so you do get alerted. Okay, so the head-to-head is not particularly extensive. Only the one match, which was on clay in Barcelona in 2023, so almost 2 years ago. It was a tight match. 2 sets though, straight sets for Carlos, 7-6, 6-4. I'm not going to really take that into consideration too much. I'm going to mainly focus on how they've looked this week and then also how it might play out in the actual match tactically. So for Alcaraz, he's looked pretty good. Beat Cerundolo in 3 sets, also losing the first set or dropping the first set. Then beat Altmaier in very impressive fashion, only dropping 4 games. The match against Arthur Fils, he didn't look like the dominant force that he'd looked in the previous round against Altmaier. Arthur Fils has been playing some really good tennis, it's fair to say, and he actually was serving for the match. Arthur Fils in the second set, he was 5-4 up. He had a chance to break at 4-3 up on Alcaraz's serve, love 40, and Alcaraz saved the 3 break points. And if he had broken, he would have served for the match at 5-3. So he didn't get the chance in the second set, but he was a point away. Went on to then lose the decider 6-3 after dropping that second set 7-5. So Alcaraz flipped the switch. He managed to gain momentum back in that match, but it wasn't the most accomplished performance. It was more of those performances that he had to grind it out, and not necessarily style-wise, but he had to really endure some pain to get over the line. And that's what the best players do on tour. Slightly alarming thing is the 7 double faults, I think, from the match. Look, I mean, on clay as well, I mean, he's hitting big kick serves on the first serve at times and even the second serve. So that's something to look into and maybe just bear in mind. I'm trying to think whether... So he didn't hit many double faults in the previous matches, 2 and 3. That's more acceptable, I'd say. For Fokina, he's looked very good. Beat Shelton in the first round. I actually picked that. That was a very good win for him. Echeverry, a very good clay quarter. Jack Draper, who's been playing some really good tennis, won Indian Wells. And yes, clay is not his preferred surface, but in terms of actual weapons, I think he's got really good weapons for clay. The movement is the biggest thing for him to figure out, and he will figure out eventually. But a very tight match. Fokina did say after that he didn't think he'd played his best tennis, and he was quite frustrated with his level. But to still win and then show that frustration, I think shows a real champion mentality. And then he beat Popperin in the quarterfinals. Very impressive win there. Now look, we know that he enjoys Monte Carlo. He's had some really good results over the last few years here, and it seems like a match made in heaven. Davidovich Fokina and the Monte Carlo Masters. So how does it play out? Now, there's a few things I think to bear in mind, and we know that on clay it's a lot easier to break serve. So serve is still a very important part of the game. It's the most, I would say, generally, talking about all surfaces, the most important shot in tennis. But on clay, I think it's definitely underpowered, that's for sure, on clay. And the return becomes more important, I would say. Not necessarily more important than the serve, but it just... If the serve is up here, for example, in importance and returns here, the gap is a lot lower on clay. It's a lot lower on clay, I would say, in terms of the difference of importance or differentiation in importance. And I think, Alcaraz returns really well generally anyway, and on clay, he stands quite far back. For Fokina, he has a good all-round game, solid returner, decent serve. I wouldn't say it's better than Alcaraz's, if I'm being honest. So really, I think where this match is going to be won or lost is actually from the back of the court, because I don't think there's going to be many aces hit. There's not going to be many unreturnables from either player. And I think we're going to see what both players can do off their serves in terms of +1, +2, and also in the longer rallies. How do they navigate their way through the exchanges that we see between these two players? And I think Alcaraz has the more tools at his disposal. He's got the wider array of options. You know, he can go with the drop shot, the forehand drop shot, the backhand slice drop shot. He can go into on the forehand, into out. He can go backhand cross. He can find angles. He can go loopy with the backhand and go lob backhand cross court. With the forehand, he can go flat. He can whip it. He can go angle on that forehand side as well. He can then go through the gears and go big down the line with that forehand, and same on the backhand side with the sliding backhand. He can defend really well with the forehand slice, and he's very good at tracking down drop shots, finding little dinks and angles in and around the net. And he's got really good hands generally when it comes to volleying as well, and little pickups or half volleys that he has to get to. So, you know, when you describe him like that, he sounds like an unbeatable player. But really, where Alcaraz has had the most issues, I would say, and the biggest sticking point in his game is shot selection. And that's still something that he's figuring out. And sometimes it is because just he wants to play a more entertaining brand of tennis, and sometimes he doesn't want to be quote-unquote boring in terms of style. On clay, you have to be a little bit boring. And he would know that after winning Roland Garros. Like, there are points where you can, yes, the drop shot's are really effective when you're pushing players back, but you have to get to that point. There's a patience that's required on clay. And generally speaking, he's been quite good at being able to showcase that on clay throughout his career. That I think there's an understanding from him that he knows clay is a slower surface, so he's almost accepted it. For Fokina, one thing that's been really impressive for me on the clay is just the amount of topspin he's able to exert on the ball. He finds really good crafty angles, for me, good depth, and he's very resilient. I mean, he sticks in there in the rallies. He really does scrap it out. You know, I mean, he is the definition of a player who is going to leave it all out there on the court. You know, he was renowned for diving constantly for balls during matches, and you know, he's scuff up his knees and get injured potentially at times as well. And he's that type of player. He will really give it his all, and he won't leave anything in the tank. So you can expect him to come out and play some big tennis in terms of really trying to max out what he's capable of. Look, I mean, for him, it's difficult because I don't particularly think that Fokina does anything exceptionally well. I think he's quite a well-rounded player, and I think he's a particularly well-rounded player on most surfaces, if I'm being honest, but his ranking of, well, I think his highest ranking was 21 in 2023. And that is kind of where I see him, like maybe just fringe top 20. He doesn't really have the weapons on serve or return, the forehand, backhand. Everything's a solid 7 maybe. Movement's good. I'd say maybe it's an 8. But nothing really stands out to me. So if Alcaraz is going to lose this match, it's going to be because he hasn't applied himself in the correct way. Because Fokina most likely will be very solid. He will be very solid. And he will definitely have his opportunities. He'll have his moments of brilliance, as also all top players have. You know, any player that's within the top 100, 200 will have those moments because they have that quality about them. But he's not going to be able to do that consistently or red line for 2 sets, in my opinion. So Alcaraz just needs to be consistent enough in his own game plan to get the win. Normally I talk about how the styles will mesh and, oh, this is what this player needs to do against this player, and etc., etc. But I actually don't really feel that way with this. I actually feel like, and it could be quite a weird way of looking at it, and you might not agree, but I actually think it's down to how Alcaraz plays. I don't feel like Fokina has the gears to rock up and redline, and Alcaraz plays, I don't know, an 8 out of 10, and he'll beat him. I think if Alcaraz is playing an 8 out of 10 or above, he wins every time against Fokina on clay in this type of scenario. If Alcaraz, which we know is possible, drops below that and plays a 7 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, a 5 even, if Fokina is playing really solid, he'll probably get the win. Because if Alcaraz is spraying the ball everywhere, if he's dropping it short, if the quality's not quite there, then Fokina will take advantage of it. He's a very good player in that aspect. So is he a generational talent like Alcaraz is? No. But he is very comfortable on clay. He's comfortable on Monte Carlo. And he, in my opinion, will take any opportunity that's presented to him. So for Alcaraz, it's just not a question, it's a fact that he needs to ensure that he's not presenting many opportunities for Fokina. And what will happen as well is that if he does give Fokina a lot of looks into his serve, and maybe Fokina goes up a break or takes the first set, the confidence that he will get from that Fokina will most likely propel his game to an even higher level, and then Alcaraz will have his work cut out for him, because then he'll need to go through the gears, and if he's already struggling to do so, it's not going to get any easier if Fokina raises his level. So I think it's important for Alcaraz that he stays solid and patient, and does what he normally would do in terms of executing a game plan. Dictating with the forehand on clay is really important for him, with the in-to-in forehand. The forehand drop shot in terms of disguise is important. The variety on the forehand is really important. On the backhand side, being patient in the cross-court exchanges, and then going line when he feels that the opportunity is opened up, and trying not to stay on the back foot too long. I think for him, sometimes he can get caught in these really physical rallies, and he definitely should not go all-out attack. But at the same time, he should be trying to dictate from the rallies, and even on clay, not being too far behind the baseline, because if he is close to the baseline, it probably means that he is the one in control of the rally. He's the one dictating the pace and the direction, rather than Fokina being the one who is actually on the front foot and pushing Carlos back. So that's my view on it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. See you in the next video.